Graham Audio itself as a company started back in 2011 by Paul Graham. Interestingly, how it started was quite interesting because Paul himself used to buy and sell second-hand equipment. And when BBC were relocating studios or closing studios down, he would actually buy all the old equipment, clean it up and on-sell it. But the loudspeakers were the part that sold the fastest and the part that he was most sort of, I guess, enamoured with. He just really enjoyed that BBC sound, so he understood why people wanted them. And so because of that success of on selling the BBC loudspeakers from the studios, he actually reached out to BBC and said, could I build these? And that was when he started Graham Audio with the licensing of the BBC range. Yeah, so very interesting start. Okay, so Graham Audio actually have the largest range of BBC licensed speakers on the market, and they are still 100% to the original design, or I say 100%, or as close as you can get to the original design. So many other manufacturers have actually changed the design, the construction techniques, whereas Graham Audio have still stuck to the tradition of the thin wall construction with the heavy deadening material and then the damping pads. They've stuck to the real tradition and the look and the feel of the original range. And so that's really what sets them apart, is the sticking to the tradition, if you like, rather than changing as many others have. Again, the BBC license, the speakers are designed for a purpose. So the original speakers were designed to go as a studio monitor in the BBC studios. And then when they made the smaller speakers, of course, what you need is that conformity to the same sound signature, whether you go from a large studio to a small studio. And so the look was very much a part of that. So while you're sticking to tradition of the BBC license, the look has to stay the same. Then when Graham Audio have built some other speakers, they have still stuck with that family look and feel. So even though they've built other speakers such as the LS6 and the new LS44F as an example, they're still very traditional in that look and feel, just to keep that consistency. However, I will say, watch this space, because I know that Derek Hughes is working on a new design at the moment, and they will be something very different, not only in look and feel, but also technology. So there's going to be some very exciting things coming from Graham Audio in that area of look, but also in technology as well in the next 12 to 18 months or so. It is about the tradition, and it's the fact that Graham Audio and Derek Hughes, they have stuck to the original design principle. So they still use the thin wall construction. The LS35 is still built with a 9mm birch plywood cabinet. The LS35A has the 11mm birch plywood cabinet to the original design, so that it can dissipate that resonance much faster. So although there's more resonance, it can dissipate fast. But then with the sound deadening material that they put on the insides of the cabinet and then the damping material on top, it just makes this incredibly consistent sound from one speaker to the next. It's just something that nobody else really sort of takes care of the way Graham Audio do. Without going into too much detail, every speaker coming out of Graham Audio factory is actually measured against the original, and if the frequency curve varies too much, the speaker gets put aside. They also record every single one by serial number of the driver and the box, and so if you as a user have a blown driver, they can go back to the original recording file, see the sound signature, and ensure that the driver they pull out of the box tests to the same response as what your original one did. So when they send it to you, nothing changes. I honestly don't know of any other speaker brand that does this in the hi-fi market. It's very much a studio monitor style of doing things, and that's the care that Graham Audio have that others just don't. So if you want that true consistency, Graham Audio is your brand.